Before the stadiums, before the millions, there was only a muddy field, a leather ball, and a game still arguing with itself over what it was allowed to be. In its earliest years, football had no single rule book. Some men carried the ball, some kicked the shins. They called it hacking and argued whether a gentleman's game should hurt. Then, in England, clubs began to form. In 1863, the Football Association wrote one set of laws, and a chaos of local games slowly became a single sport. Sheffield had the oldest club in the world. The men posed stiffly for the camera, a ball at their feet, not yet knowing they stood at the beginning of everything. On the 30th of November 1872, Scotland met England at Glasgow, the first international football match ever played. No goals were scored, but 4,000 people stood in the cold to watch 11 men against 11, and something about it refused to be forgotten. The early game belonged to soldiers and old schoolboys. The Royal Engineers played as a team when most still played alone, and reached the very first cup final. By 1878, they were playing under electric light, a novelty that drew enormous crowds. The game was no longer a pastime. It was becoming a spectacle. And it was leaving the gentlemen behind. Darwen, a small mill town, fielded working men against the old elite and nearly beat them. The crowds grew. The play grew rougher, faster, lower to the ground. This was football finding its feet. In 1882, the old boys of Eton met Blackburn in the cup final. It was one of the last times the amateurs would win. The game was passing to the towns, the mills, the working north. With trophies came pride and photographs to prove it. A club, a cup, a row of serious faces, the first heroes of a people's game. By the 88's, to win a cup was to belong to history. Money entered the game, and AK-85 professionalism was finally made legal. Men could now be paid to play. Blackburn Rovers won, and won again. The factory towns had taken football for their own. And then came Preston North End. In the first season of the Football League, they won the championship without losing a match, and the cup without conceding a goal. They called them the Invincibles. The trophy, the team, the camera. By the 1890s, the ritual was set, and a game born in muddy English fields was ready to leave home. Football had become the heartbeat of a nation. Every town wanted a team. Every team wanted a cup. Aston Villa, Sunderland, the great sides of the age drew tens of thousands through the turnstiles, crowds the size of small cities every Saturday. Newcastle, in their black and white stripes, carried the hopes of the industrial north. The men were miners and shipbuilders 6 days a week, and idols on the 7th. In Manchester, a team of railwaymen called Newton Heath. In time, they would change their name to Manchester United. Liverpool, formed in 1892, would grow into one of the most famous names the game has ever known. But here, they are just 11 young men and a ball. City after city raised 11 of its own, each a banner for the place it came from, each carrying a neighborhood's pride onto the grass. Newspapers printed the teams in albums to be cut out and kept. A boy could carry his heroes in his pocket. Manchester United, league champions, posed with their silver. The game now had dynasties, rivalries, and a history of its own. And the grounds grew into great bowls of brick and steel. Chelsea opened at Stamford Bridge in 1905, built to swallow 100,000 voices. The cup-winning side became a postcard, passed from hand to hand, a season that mattered, pressed onto paper. And always, at the center of it, the cup, the oldest prize in the game, and the one every boy dreamed of lifting. Trophy after trophy, the English game had become the model the whole world would copy. Because the men who built the railways and worked the docks carried a ball with them to France, to South America, to anywhere a ship could reach. In Paris, on bare ground beside a wall, French clubs took up the foreign game. At first they played the English, soon they played each other. Soon even the banks and the factories had their 11s. Football had woven itself into the working week of a whole continent. A team from London would cross the channel for a match, and crowds would gather to see how the masters did it. England's goalkeeper, photographed on a Paris street before a match. The men who invented the game now traveled to teach it. Their captain, in collar and tie, far from home. Wherever they went, crowds came to watch the masters play. And there it is, the moment the still camera almost couldn't hold. A man, a ball, the blur of a kick, and a crowd leaning in. The goal, the net, the line of men waiting. Even a stray dog wandered onto the pitch. The game was serious now, but it had not forgotten how to be joyful. A man at full stride, the ball at his feet, the defender beaten. This was no longer England's secret. When Tottenham came to Paris, the goalkeeper rose against a factory sky to pluck the ball from the air. The image could be from any century. The feeling is the same. France against England, the pupils against the teachers. Along the touchline, the crowd pressed close enough to touch the play. When England came, the ground overflowed. The pupils were closing on their masters at last. Paris against Prague, two players rising for the same ball, a stadium roaring behind them. An attack at the far post, the terraces packed behind. The stadium was being born, and with it the roar. In Paris, Red Star drew a devoted crowd of its own. The French had stopped imitating and started belonging. And in the middle of the noise, a single man, the captain of France, alone for a moment with the weight of his country's colors. They began to be photographed like portraits, the cockerel on the chest, the gaze steady. Footballers were becoming someone worth remembering. Team after team, nation after nation, each lining up for the camera as if to say, "We are here too." From Italy came Torino touring France. The game now crossed every border as easily as a ball crosses a line. Across France, the clubs multiplied, each with its colors, its town, its quiet ambition to be the best. The Swiss side, garlanded after a victory. Across the Alps, across every border, the same game, the same joy. And the game kept sailing. In 1914, an English club crossed an ocean to tour Brazil, carrying football to a country that would one day make it an art. Then the world went to war, and for 4 years the pitches emptied. Many who had filled them never came home. When the guns fell silent, soldiers played again. At the Inter-Allied Games in Paris, a team from Canada lined up before a packed stand, football helping a broken world remember how to live. France took the field once more. The game had survived the worst that men could do, and the crowds came back larger than before. Now France fielded a national 11 of its own, and the stands filled to watch them. And not only men, women's teams drew enormous crowds in these years, until they were pushed from the game they had helped to fill. They were here too. History almost forgot them. France against Holland, a leaping keeper, a packed goalmouth. The continental game had found its speed. England still sent its teams across the channel, and still, mostly, they won. But the gap was closing. The world was learning fast. Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, Italy, every nation now had its 11, its colors, its dream of beating the men who had taught them. By the mid-1920s, the French side had grown proud and sure. A team, not a tribute. On muddy fields across Europe, the ball flew, and a question began to form that no single country could answer alone. Who, truly, was the best? There was only one way to find out. The game would have to gather the world in one place. It had already begun. Quietly, in 1900, football appeared at the Olympic Games in Paris, a handful of clubs standing in for whole nations. France fielded a side. The matches were small, almost informal, but for the first time, the flag mattered more than the club. An English works team, Upton Park, won that first Olympic tournament, amateurs representing a nation that barely noticed. By 1908, the tournament was real. Denmark fielded a true national team, and Olympic football began to look like the future. At Stockholm in 1912, the nations came in earnest. England, the inventors, took the field as favorites before the watching world. Great Britain, the ball at their feet, the crest on their chest. Sweden, the hosts. Austria, who would soon play the most beautiful football in Europe. Finland. One by one they lined up beneath the goal. 11 nations, one game, the whole world in a single frame. The game was no longer England's alone. On the continent, it was becoming something faster, cleverer, almost a kind of music. By 1928, Holland hosted the world and fielded its own bright-shirted 11 before a roaring Amsterdam crowd. Spain came, fierce and quick. Germany, but was dear Maestri. Portugal, small nations and vast ones alike, all drawn to the same green rectangle. And the football itself, a keeper at full stretch, the crowd a wall behind him. And then, from across the Atlantic, came teams nobody in Europe was ready for. They had learned the game from British sailors on the docks of Montevideo and Buenos Aires, and they had made it their own. Tile, a world away from home on the great Amsterdam pitch. The South Americans played football as if it were a different sport, the ball glued to their feet, the crowd on theirs. Again and again the camera caught it, the leap, the save, the held breath of thousands. The goalkeeper flew. The whole stadium held its breath. Argentina reached the final. A nation that 30 years before had never seen the game now stood among its masters. And the world kept arriving, Turkey, Egypt, nations from every corner, each in their own colors, each carrying the English game home in a new language. What had begun on a muddy field in England now belonged to the entire planet. In Amsterdam it was Uruguay, a country smaller than a single English county, who beat them all. Olympic champions for the second time, the ball at their feet, a packed stadium behind them, and the whole world finally watching. They were here, 11 young men from the far side of the world, the best on earth, and proof that the game now belonged to everyone. The crowds pressed to the very edge of the pitch. The game had outgrown its clubs, its nations, even the Olympic Games themselves, and so the world chose to do the unthinkable, to gather every nation and crown a single champion of all the earth. That story, the one everyone remembers, was about to begin, but it began here, with these faces. They were here first. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Lost and Found Archives and help keep them from being forgotten. New faces from before living memory.